Welcome to Chasewater, right in the middle of England, for the Cannock Grand Prix and round 3 of the Formula 2 Powerboat GP British Championship. After the opening 2 rounds of the Formula 2 Championship, 2 drivers are tied for points at the head of the table, with Colin Jelf and Paul Balfour both having had 1 win, 1 second place and 1 crucial extra point for pole position. In the supporting classes, the Formula 4 category has been dominated by Ben Morse, but there are 5 drivers battling hard for that runners-up spot, currently being held by Natalie Craddock. The GT30s sees girl power coming to the fore, with Jessica Abby Brewer and Charlotte Newton all fighting to stop Ben Jelf taking the title. And when it comes to titles, it's Ben Jelf that's dominated the junior GT15 category for the past 4 years. But he now finds himself behind in the points to the young pretender, Thomas Mantrip. While Chasewater might be the 3rd round of the championship for the headlining Formula 2 category, it's actually the 4th round for the supporting classes who had an extra race at Kingsbury, which brought a return to form for Tegan Goodfellow. Tegan, back on the podium for the first time in nearly 2 years.
Yeah.
Where have you been hiding?
It's just been towards the back, and then it just decided it would go for Kingsbury.
Because what, you were 2nd in the championship a couple of when we first started filming, you were about this tall, bouncing up and down in the boat, and you're enjoying your racing now.
Yeah, it's a lot better.
So anyway, are you going to continue this pace this weekend? Is this the plan? We're back on form.
Yeah, hopefully.
And Tegan continued her good form by qualifying 3rd.
Really happy because it's my home club, so it's just nice to be up there.
Second fastest and seemingly happy to be there was championship leader Thomas Mantrip.
Yeah, it's a good result. We'd like to see 1st, but 2nds will do, so we're just securing the title.
But yet again, that boy Ben Jelf was on pole. Ben, another pole position, but difficult in the championship points because you had those problems earlier on in the season.
Yes, but every year you do make a mistake, but I just happened to make 2.
As always, there are 3 heats for each class, points awarded for each heat, and the totals decide the winner. Time then for us to join our race commentator, Jason Mantrip, to see how the first 2 heats went.
A very overcast and wet Chasewater set the scene for the GT15 action. And 2 early starters were to happen, and they were Tegan Goodfellow on her home circuit and also Jonathan Brewer, who made those early starts. And they're the 2 boats just in the picture there. But Ben Jelf and Thomas Mantrip had to try and chase and also pass them. This was very, very difficult, of course. And Ben Jelf trying not to get entangled with those early starters, whilst Thomas Mantrip in hot pursuit trying to catch up with Jelf. Mantrip had already got past Brewer as Jelf wandered off into the distance. 1 more of the back markers then for Ben Jelf to pass, and that was the boat of Tegan Goodfellow in boat number 8. Should be disappointed, of course, with her mistake. Ben Jelf continuing the race lead, with Mantrip trying to chase hard. He knows that he needs to get a good result in this championship round to try and secure at least a championship possibility. At the moment, though, it was the back marker still giving Thomas Mantrip a little bit of a problem to pass. But he made it and he got through, and now he can set his mind focused on chasing Ben Jelf. Jelf, though, had the easy job with the clear lead as he was powering on to race number 1, and a victory secured for him.
Tegan, all that good qualifying, and what was that happening at the start?
My thumb glitches, so it just went to hit the button.
As all the drivers once again pulled away from the start grid, everyone this time made it correctly as the red lights went off. A good start from Jelf and a good start from Mantrip. Mantrip looking around just to see if there was any chance of just making a manoeuvre on Ben Jelf. But the first corner was Ben Jelf's as he powers away from Mantrip, who was in second position. Mantrip looking around in his mirrors to realise that Jessica Beaumont was just behind him. A good challenge from her and also Elliot Fleet. These two were to have a good scrap all throughout the race. But with Beaumont on the inside, Elliot Fleet was only forced out wide, and that's really not the way to pass a boat. In fact, he was forced out so wide that almost Jack Pickles got through. But Elliot Fleet managed to stay in control of the situation and maintains his fourth position. Thomas Mantrip still in hot pursuit in that second place, but Ben Jelf really untouchable with all the action happening just behind him. But Ben Jelf done enough to make it 2 out of 2. And that was enough to put him top of the leaderboard with 800 points, with Thomas Mantrip on 720 points and Jess Beaumont with 616 points.
Ben, 2 dominant heat wins, but that first heat was a bit tricky. When people jump the start like that, it causes confusion everywhere.
Yeah, it certainly caused confusion for me. I mean, I'm trying to get off the start and then up the end, people not keeping their lines, but it's racing.
Last heat, from the early starters, I got some wash and that just got the bottom of my boat and just tipped me the wrong way. And but this time Ben didn't get such a good start, which worked into my hands. I got a slightly better start, but about halfway down the straight, he had started to gain on me, and we were sort of level towards the turn. And I took it safe around the turn and left him plenty of room, because I know that if I'd gone too tight, we may have collided, and I didn't want that.
Elliot, 2 heats done, a third and a fourth, and the engine covers off. What's going on behind you?
Well, the start button wouldn't work, so whenever I pushed it, it just wouldn't start.
So you're going to blame the button?
Yeah, we had to pull start it, which got me a terrible start.
But that was a great battle with Jess in that second heat. No way to get past her?
No, next heat though.
The first one was really stressful because I had a bit of a mess with Elliot at the beginning, but then the second race was really good because I got where I was meant to be.
Before the extra round at Kingsbury, the battle for the Formula Ford title looked to be a 2-way contest between Ben Morse and Mike Pillow, with Rob Veers getting ever closer. But at Kingsbury, he got a little bit too close. Rob, we've seen the photos. It was a bit dramatic, wasn't it? What exactly happened there?
Yeah, it was a bit dramatic. Yeah, the photos make it look a lot worse than it actually was, but I was second on the grid next to Ben, and Pillow was in third. Going up to the first turn, I got a bit of a stuttered start, you could say, and Pillow was just in front of me. Coming up to the first turn, and I'm about to take my turn, and then I don't really know what happened, but I just heard quite a loud bang, and then I was looking at the sky.
The boat still looks all in one piece,
Yeah.
No damage at all?
There was a little bit of damage, but we've managed to get that fixed. But it was only cosmetic really, nothing much, and the engine did go under, so we had some help from Ben Morse and his team, some great help to get the boat, to get the engine running again, dried it all out, changed all filters, oil, spark plugs, and we managed to get it running again, and I went out for the third heat.
Well, good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
And despite the spectacular crash in the last round, Rob was a competitive third in qualifying.
Definitely consistent there, but no, it's still improving in the boat. Run a new course, so yeah, no, it's still great work to get third out there.
And Natalie was very happy about her newfound pace.
Yeah, I feel like I'm getting used to it more, like turning better, using the trim quicker and stuff.
On pole yet again was the dominant Ben Morse.
Yeah, it seems to be going quite well. Obviously, we've got the new boat going well now. Hopefully, we can keep going, keep pushed till the end of the season.
Mike, you've turned up this weekend with a bit of a battered boat repaired after a bit of an incident.
Little bit of an incident. Me and Mr. Veers didn't quite see eye to eye over the same piece of water at Kingsbury, and unfortunately, it ripped my engine clean off. ripped the transom apart and it was only hanging on by the steering cables.
So qualifying now, seeing you back in 5th, is that what, a new engine or what's been the problem?
Well, it's a replacement engine because unfortunately the other engine was very badly damaged. New transom, which I asked for modifications to be done, and I obviously haven't got no time to test, and unfortunately it's not quite been as quick as I wanted it to be. But next heat, for the first heat, we'll see if we can get it going a bit better.
A full field of F4S drivers lined up at Chasewater for their next round of the F4S Championships. And on board Natalie Craddock was to see some of the field charge away in front of her, but she knows that she had a lot of the field behind her. But Ben Morse was the clear leader. After setting a blistering pole position lap time, he maintained that throughout heat number 1, setting the initial pace with Rob Veers in 2nd position. Not bad, considering he had a crash in the previous round at the Kingsbury Water Park. Mike Pillow was also in hot pursuit, making sure that he kept the other red boat in this race of Natalie Craddock just behind him. Mick Pillow riding through the spray of Rob Veers, trying to catch up and pass him. He knows that Veers is a main rival in the F4S class for him. And Pillow can only see the championship disappear with Ben Morse out in front. He realistically is the man for Mick Pillow to beat. Natalie Craddock having a good race as Mick Pillow overshoots the turnbuoy. That gave Natalie Craddock an extra second or so to try and improve her gap. But a good race from Rob Veers, but still not enough for him to catch up with the race leader, Ben Morse. Ben Morse knows that he could win this championship this weekend if he does what's necessary. And at the moment, Ben Morse was looking comfortable in that 1st position. A new boat for him then, proving to work, and it's getting the job done. And Ben Morse does win heat number 1. On to heat 2, with Ben Morse starting in that pole position, with Mike Pillow just on the right-hand side of him, and also Natalie Craddock there in the mix as well. But it was Ben Morse who was to get up to the turn first, followed by the rest of the field. Natalie Craddock saw the opportunity to try and get on the inside of Mike Pillow. And Rob Veers having almost another accident in this round here at Chasewater. But this time, he keeps the boat the right way up. The rest of the field continue to power on, with Sam Whittle trying to make a challenge on Natalie Craddock, and Matt Palfreyman in a busy weekend for him in the F4S and F2 classes. Natalie Craddock holding off Sam Whittle, and he too having an identical moment to Rob Veers and almost loses it at the turn. Natalie Craddock would have seen that in her mirrors and powers on. But Sam Whittle once again fancied another little stab of action, but wasn't quick enough to get through this time around. Ben Morse, in the meantime, currently out and comfortably leads heat number 2, and in fact does enough to win 2 out of 2. It puts him at the top of the leaderboard with 800 points, with Mike Pillow second, 684 points, and Rob Veers third with 596 points.
Rob, good start in the 1st heat, finished 2nd, and then what on earth happened in that 2nd one?
It's just my mistake. Didn't go through a usual routine in the boat at the start and didn't put it in gear for the start. So light's gone off, I've hit the button and I just didn't move.
We've got the speed, but at the minute the nose won't drop down the corners. We keep putting more and more weight in, but it's because the wind's just catching on the corners. It just won't bog down. It just won't go down unless you back off at the minute.
Sam qualified 4th, finished 4th in the 1st heat, but that 2nd heat, what happened at the start?
Oh, I've got a dodgy start button now, I've just realised, so I had to use the key switch in the end, so I had to back up.
So who fixed the start button? Whose fault was that then?
I've blamed the old man, Dad.
So while Ben Morse moves serenely towards yet another Formula 4 win, it's anyone's guess who will finish 2nd. Make sure you join us after the break when it's time for the GT30 and Formula 2 heats. Welcome back to Chasewater, where the GT30 class for 14-year-olds and upwards is about to get underway. It's the same boat as the juniors, but with twice the power, which is something that Charlotte Newton relished when you won the opening round, your first GT30 National, up at Lowestoft. But in the end, after a recent appeal, you didn't win it, did you?
No, well, I was winning.
And then you had a little bit of a clash.
Yeah, a clash. And then I won again.
You were disqualified, you won again, and now finally.
Yeah, I've been disqualified.
But then this is the fun of the racing. Do you enjoy that? I mean, it's intense, it's close at sometimes. That got a bit too close and you came out the loser. But do you enjoy that element?
It's enjoyment in having the race, being there instead of just being so far apart. I'd rather be in a collision than just out at the front.
And this weekend, Chasewater, a new course. Have you looked at the course map? Does it look like a challenging course?
I think it looks like a good course and it's different to all the others.
So looking forward to a good week and competitive, another win?
I'll try.
Qualifying saw Charlotte come out as top girl. Charlotte, second on the grid, but this Ben Jelf boy is on a bit of a flyer now. He's got his third boat to beat you with.
He seemed to got another boat this weekend, which is different, but I want to see the difference in the times compared.
Well, I can tell you, according to the unofficial times, you're half a second a lap off. So that's close.
Yeah, that is.
Happy with that?
Yeah, because that's closer than we were at Bodymore, so I'm happy with that.
With Jess Stoneman a disappointed third. Jess, only third in qualifying. It's getting tough, this GT30 category.
I know, my arms are hurting so much. I did try my best though. It's just Charlotte's boat's so much better for the rough water, whereas mine isn't.
But yet again, it was that boy Jelf in pole position.
We started off with just a start-off boat at the start of the year. Then at Kingsbury, we finally got our own boat. But then last week in Poland, it broke up, and now we got another one.
The GT30 action with Ben Jelf in that pole position, with Charlotte Newton, a good qualifier for her, starting second on the grid. But it was Jelf with the new boat who was to be first up towards the first turn. The rest of the field followed, including Jess Stoneman and also Will Wood in the red boat 17. But Ben Jelf had pretty much done everything he could to get out in front. A new boat is always a bit hard to set up initially, but Ben Jelf seems to have done something right to get there with this new outfit of his. Will Wood struggling a little bit at the back of the field, just behind Jess Stoneman and Charlotte Newton. Charlotte just managing to stay ahead then of Jess, but Jess then having a little bit of a bumpy ride in heat number 1. In the meantime, Ben Jelf out in front, dominating the race. And as I said before, the new boat working very well for him. Will Wood picking off there. In fact, Jess Stoneman and Jess struggling a little bit in heat number 1, but she maintains the inside lane, which is the right thing to do. And she forces out Will Wood on a wide turn out into the country. Will Wood tried to attack back, but it didn't really work. Ben Jelf in the meantime keeping very, very close to the turn boys, and he knows that one slight mistake for him could be disastrous. Will Wood finally retires from the race, a mechanical problem for him, but it looks like Ben Jelf under pressure towards the end of the race. He looks across, he maintains the outside line, which allows Charlotte Newton to go through on the inside, but Ben Jelf has a moment anyway, and that has really allowed the advantage for Charlotte Newton to go on to take the lead. And Charlotte Newton had just got there just in time and takes heat number 1. Ben Jelf does finish in the second position.
What do you think your problem was?
I honestly don't know. I don't know.
And the boy that you missed in the middle of the race?
I think I was too in the zone. I was trying to keep Will on my outside, but then I ended up missing the turn boy anyway, so.
A frustrating race.
Very frustrating.
Will, that looked a bit dramatic. What on earth happened?
It was quite dramatic. I was coming down the straight and I just on the previous lap forced Jess into an error, so I was up into third, and my steering cable snapped. So instead of going forwards, I ended up pointing in a complete opposite direction.
Going up to the turn, it was just going through Charlotte's like spray, it's going blind. I couldn't see how tight or going or how wide I was going, so I ended up spinning out.
A retirement from Will Wood see the GT30 class reduced to 4, with Charlotte Newton starting off in the pole position. Ben Jelf gets a good start and is first up to the turn, but Charlotte Newton does have the advantage of being on the inside and makes it stick, and she is first round the turn. Jelf looks across to see exactly where Charlotte Newton is, and he knows that already Jelf has done enough to make it out there in front. A familiar sight these days to see Ben Jelf out in front being the lead boat. Charlotte Newton could only chase and follow in Ben Jelf's wake. Jess Stoneman and Abby Brewer complete the field of 4 GT30s, making up the final 2 other positions. Abby Brewer looking very comfortable, and she's had a good 2014 season, just like Ben Jelf in boat number 4. A new boat for him this weekend, and it is working very, very well. And Ben Jelf was to make it a win in heat number 2. It's 1 apiece between Charlotte and Ben. A very tidy leaderboard with Ben Jelf and Charlotte Newton both on 760 points, with Abby Brewer and Jess Stoneman both on 616 points.
Jess, you didn't look your normal competitive self in that second heat, and it doesn't look like you're getting ready for another heat either.
Definitely not. My boat was taking on too much water, and we tipped it upside down, and there's just too many cracks in it. It's not really repairable, we don't think, at the moment.
This Chasewater lake was one of the leading venues for powerboat racing for the best part of 50 years, until in 1999 the dam sprung a leak and the water became too shallow for powerboat racing. Well, now the dam's fixed, the powerboats are back, and so is joint Formula 2 Championship leader Colin Jelf. Colin, happy memories of Chasewater in the olden days?
Yeah, definitely. We've won my British Championship back in '92, believe it or not, was won here, and we had some really good races from the old times.
And at one moment you actually managed to have a little clash with your brother, I understand.
Oh yeah, that's another memory. In '94 we was just about to go into the Formula 1 and we both went up the first corner and completely collided and destroyed both boats.
So do you think this is a sort of circuit where qualifying is going to be all important?
Qualifying will be paramount. Obviously pole is normally a big advantage, so obviously that's what you're going to go for, and hopefully with the right propeller you can get pole.
All right, well, good luck for the rest of the weekend.
Thank you.
As ever, the battle for that extra point was hard fought, but it was Colin who would be the happiest.
Obviously with Paul pipping us last meeting, we're out to try and take the lead back in the championship, so obviously if that's pole, that's really good. I'm happy with that.
Paul Balfour would have to put on a brave face, having qualified second.
Well, the race is different, you know, it all depends on the start. If we get a good start, it means everything.
While Steve Holt was more than happy with third.
Yeah, I'm quite pleased with that. Yeah, first time in this course, it's great. It's very interesting to drive.
Heat number 1 then for the Formula 2s, with 6 left-handers and 1 right-hander, a slight change from the traditional course from the 1990s. So the boats were lined up on the start grid as they pulled away. It was Colin Jelf who had the initial pole position, but Paul Balfour was the man to charge away from the grid. Steve Holt putting up an excellent fight in that second position. What could Jelf do from that pole position? He'd dropped back considerably. Steve Holt was second round the turn, but it was Paul Balfour, the surprise man, who got away cleanly from second on the grid. Matt Palfreyman in that new boat just at the back of the field at the moment. It'll be interesting to see how his race is to progress. Colin Jelf struggling hard in that third position as Alan Marshall had a problem and the engine cuts out into safety mode. Back with Jelf, and Jelf still pushing on. He knows that he's got Matt Palfreyman just behind him. Balfour was to lead with Holt second, Jelf in that third place. It didn't seem like Jelf had the power this time around, to make it through into second, let alone a win. Alan Marshall was once again struck with mechanical problems, and once again the Optimax engine dying out. But he was okay, it got started again, but of course it cost him valuable seconds. In the meantime, Balfour continued to lead, with Jelf pushing hard, trying to get into second position, but Steve Holt really was maintaining it very, very well. Balfour, on the day though, was the man to catch as he is out in front and leads and takes heat number 1. Onto heat 2, and Balfour has the advantage of starting in that pole position. A very close start between Jelf and Steve Holt, and also Matt Palfreyman. Not a lot of room there for those drivers. They were of course joined by Mark Williams in heat 2, who had missed heat number 1 the day before. Owen Jelf in boat number 3 had a good start and was one of the first drivers up to the first turn. Jelf this time had got the job done on Steve Holt, and Alan Marshall was to have another scruffy race and completely misses a turn buoy. He was chasing too hard on Owen Jelf, who was laying in that second position. Steve Holt in the meantime pushing hard on Jelf, and Jelf in fact slowed down. Steve Holt was to pass him, and Jelf was to have either a mechanical problem or some kind of physical problem. Mark Williams, who had not made the start on heat number 1, was progressing through the field on heat number 2. That boat having been repaired after a testing session incident where the boat had to be rebuilt. The boat's powered on. Marshall already knows that he is 1 lap behind Dr. Lap after missing the turn. Colin Jelf still struggles on, and in fact was to retire from the race. Disappointment then for Colin Jelf, the initial pole sitter from the heat 1. Paul Balfour in the meantime will be smiling because he knows that the championship is wide open still, and this could actually benefit him, seeing the blue boat of Jelf disappear. Steve Holt still pushing hard, as is Mark Williams, who is trying to get the job done on Steve Holt. And he did it, and he got past and was through. Steve Holt relegated 1 position as Paul Balfour pushed on. He knows that he needs to keep the machinery together just a few more laps. Clearwater ahead of him. Balfour was in for a bit of an easy ride towards the end of the race. He knows his main rival had already retired. This would give Paul Balfour a major advantage as he wins heat number 2. Paul Balfour leads the leaderboard with 800 points, with Matt Palfreyman and Steve Holt both on 652 points, a tie for second. 4th place then with 524 points is Owen Jelf.
Well, you don't count your chickens, so just keep doing each heat at a time and try your best. So it's, yeah, it's going quite well.
Well, we had a few problems yesterday. Heat 1, we didn't get the right setup, and it's a lot about setup in these boats. So yeah, we're pleased we found it again, and let's hope we can carry on there.
We're starting to dial it in now. We're getting there. I'm getting used to the boat. We're getting used to the new engine, new propellers. We've got new propellers coming in every race, so we'll see what happens at the next one as well.
Colin, obviously not good. What was the problem?
Well, obviously in practice we had a real pain in my back, which restricted us from doing any proper laps. We tried to do racing, but it's just not working. Too much pain. And then in the actual race, Alan comes straight across me to the wrong buoy, and he's wrecked my race anyway, so I just decided to pull out.
2 heats down, 1 to go. So don't go away. Make sure you join us after the break for the Powerboat GP Chasewater Finals. Welcome back to Powerboat GP, where the GT15 juniors are all lined up ready for their final heat here at Chasewater. So it's time for us to rejoin our race commentator, Jason Mantrip.
A full field of GT15s make the final race. Bexley Nunn starts from the very, very far end, and at the other end in pole position is Ben Jelf. After winning 2 out of 2 GT15 races, he knows that this one will make it a hat-trick here this weekend at Chasewater. Thomas Mantrip then goes very, very wide on the first turn, But Ben Jelf, really, that's where the job is done really for him on that first corner as he pulls away into the distance. And look at the gap already between first and second positions. And Mantrip struggling, in fact, in third place as Jess Beaumont right up the field in boat number 22. So she's doing very, very well as the rest of the pack chase her, as Thomas Mantrip then can see Jess Beaumont in number 22 just on the left-hand side of him. Mantrip tries the manoeuvre and in fact goes round on the outside, but Beaumont keeps it tight round on the inside as everyone else now charges up there. A great sight to see all these youngsters in the GT15s. Elliot Fleet in number 11 is also right up there. He is in 4th position at the moment. But Mantrip knows that he wants to get the job done. The championship really is depending on the next 2 races. And number 12, Thomas Mantrip, continues that charge. Currently in 3rd position with Elliot Fleet in number 11 in 4th place. But Jess Beaumont leads not only the ladies, but most of the men. The only person in front of her is Ben Jelf, and you can just see him in the distance. He's already round the turn up towards the dam there on this racecourse here at Chasewater. And you can see as we look down upon the boats, Thomas Mantrip looks like he's got the job done. That's the story that the helicopter view is telling us. And Thomas Mantrip does seem to go through then into 2nd position. So Jess Beaumont is relegated to 3rd place, but the gap really is incredible between 1 and 2. Thomas Mantrip then will know that it's almost an impossibility to catch up with Jelf, but Ben Jelf has made mistakes before in the past. And towards the end of the race, when Jelf may start to tire, could be where Thomas Mantrip could pick up some valuable seconds. And Jack Pickles there, as we look down on him, just ahead of Jonathan Brewer, and also Harvey Smith in boat number 9. Elliot Fleet now fancies his chances of getting past Jess Beaumont. But Ben Jelf then out in front at the moment in boat number 4, and he does look to make it 3 out of 3. Ben Jelf wins the day with 1,200 points, with Thomas Mantrip 2nd with 1,080 points, and Jess Beaumont 3rd with 940 points.
The boat looks just brilliant at Chasewater seems to like you.
Yeah, I like the course. Very good course. Different, but it's good.
Not very warmed up very well, and I knew that it wouldn't start as well as I would like it to, but it felt okay. Ben just got a bit quicker, and I was just concentrating because I knew that Jess was quick off the line.
Yeah, it would have been better if Elliot had kept his lane, but then what could he do?
It's looking good for Thomas Mantrip after the Kingsbury round and the Chasewater round. Top of the leaderboard with 74 points, with Ben Jelf 2nd with 67 points and Jess Beaumont 3rd with 57 points.
Time for the Formula 4s, where Mike Pillar, who qualified back in 5th, has slowly worked his way up to be 2nd on the grid for the final. Just Ben Morse to beat then.
So no pressure on Mick Pello then as they pull away from the start. But Ben Morse with the advantage of starting in that pole position. But I have to say, a good start from the pink and white boat. That's Matthew Palfreyman in boat number 15. An excellent start for him. That's a much heavier boat than the rest of them. Really designed for the old school F4s. This, is, of course, is the new school F4S class. But nevertheless, a good start from number 15. But you can see now the advantage of having the proper F4S hull, because Matt Palfreyman now dropping down the field as we ride on board with Natalie Craddock, the female driver in this race, and she really does like to push hard then amongst the men, and trying to catch up then with Mick Pillow, who's out there in that 2nd position. Rob Veers is just ahead of Matt Palfreyman, and Rob Veers actually finding himself behind Sam Whittle. So Sam Whittle chasing hard with Natalie Craddock just in front. Oh, and Sam Whittle has a moment. The boat veers off, and that looks like some kind of issue with the steering, because Sam Whittle hooks right, and we'll have to see if he retires from the race, but at the moment that boat is not going anywhere, and Sam Whittle then a retirement. But Ben Morse out in front, that brand new boat then working very, very well for him this weekend at Chasewater. And it's round 4, of course, for the F4S class. Mike Pillow in number 42 in second position. Getting used to that slightly modified boat after the crash in the previous round at the Kingsbury Water Park, round number 3. But Mike Pillow knows that Ben Morse is going to be tough competition here in his final heat, as Natalie Craddock still pushes on, but she knows the pressure is off slightly now because Sam Whittle had that moment. But now she's got more pressure, and this time it's coming from Rob Veers in boat number 18, and she knows that Rob is a young, hard, fierce competitor, pretty much like herself, as we now look at Ben Morse lapping one of the other drivers. So Ben Morse then in the lead, but he is running away with this victory. So Ben Morse, the young lad who actually started racing in the junior ranks, moved up through into GT30 and now finds himself in the F4S class with the new boat. He'll be setting that boat up for another major international competition in the UK later on this season. But Ben Morse coming down towards us, and you can see there the stricken boat of Sam Whittle actually being towed in by the rescue. But Ben Morse lifts up the canopy. He knows that his race is done, and he wins 3 out of 3 in the F4S class. So Ben Morse wins the day, 1,200 points for him, with Mike Pillow second with 1,042 points, and Natalie Craddock third with 596 points.
Ben Morse, 2014 British Formula 4 Powerboat GP champion.
Feels good, not going to lie. Glad to have wrapped it up around before the end. Obviously that gives you a good feeling.
He's got it. It was the new boat he's got is definitely an improvement on the older one like mine. It seems to be much quicker out the corners, but I've still got a few things I can try. So maybe next time, we'll see.
Ben Morse had done enough though to secure the championship after the results from Kingsbury and Chasewater tally up to 83 points. Natalie Craddock is second with 58 points and Mike Pillow third with 54 points.
Well, if there was no stopping Ben Morse before, there's certainly no stopping him now, because 4 wins in a 5-round championship means he's already crowned the F4 champion. Make sure you join us after the break when we return for the GT30 and Formula 2 finals. Welcome back to Chasewater, where it's time for the GT30 final. And with Jess Stoneman's boat unable to be repaired, it's down to just 2 girls trying to beat the 1 boy.
So with the absence of Jess Stoneman in the third and final heat, and also Will Wood as well, brings us down to just the 3 boats. And number 4, Ben Jelf, is the initial leader, starting from pole position, just ahead of Charlotte Newton. Remember, they are 1 apiece, so this is a very, very important race for these 2. Abby Brewer also there, and she fancies her chances as well, pretty much in the mix of things. But as predicted, Ben Jelf, first round of turn, but look how wide he took the first turn, because Charlotte Newton is right beside. She hooked up a much, much tighter turn, but it's all about the approach to the right-hander. That's why Ben Jelf exited that top turn wide. And now you can see the straight line speed from the GT30 of Ben Jelf, round very close to the turn boys, and he has hit them in the past and wiped them out and even missed them before, but he will not be wanting to do that. And now what's happening, he adjusts the visor, and Ben Jelf feels that he just needed to close that visor just a little bit as he powers on in the lead. But Clearwater out in front then. Not many boats left in this race as Ben Jelf round the yellow marker turn. As we now look at Abby Brewer once again, she is in the third position, just behind Charlotte Newton, the 2 females against the young lad of Ben Jelf, just old enough to race the GT30 class this season, now 14 years of age. But multitasking pretty much this weekend, both in the GT15 and GT30 class. And as he told you earlier, he had a bit of an incident in the World Championships where his boat actually broke up in Poland. So number 4, Ben Jelf, continuing to lead the race with Charlotte Newton in that second position. But Jelf knows that the race has come to the conclusion as he receives the checkered flag, which is waved by his mum, Jenny Jelf. It's enough to win the day with 1,160 points, with Charlotte Newton second and Abby Brewer, who takes third position.
Yeah, the boat's been going well this year. Well, this one anyway. The last two have been sort of trial and error, but this one's just right.
Yeah, it's a surprise for me too. I wasn't expecting it again. We tried a few different things this time. Went a bit quicker. I think we tried trimming it out and tried a different prop. So it definitely did some good this time.
So after the Kingsbury round and the round here at Chasewater, Ben Jelf leads with 79 points. Jess Stoneman is second with 63 points and Charlotte Newton third with 60 points.
And now for the highlight of the day, the Formula 2 final. No Colin Jelf due to that back injury and a very confident Paul Balfour on pole position. Time for us to rejoin our race commentator, Jason Mantrip.
The sixth boat final for the Formula 2s, minus Colin Jelf, who retires in with an injury. And Paul Balfour, once again, a great start from him, powers away from everybody else, and Matt Palfreyman almost left standing, but nevertheless it was still a good start from him as they all power up there. And we look down, and that's a great shot looking down at this first corner. Everyone makes it safely round with Balfour out there in front. Owen Jelf very wide at the moment, but that's because of his grid position, and they have to maintain their lanes for the first corner. So Mark Williams struggling a little bit there. He was in second position up to 1 point, and Owen Jelf feeling that he can possibly get past as we now ride on board with Jelf, and he does so, and he does move up into that second position. A good scrap for third, look at that, with Mark Williams just ahead of Matt Palfreyman, and Alan Marshall, who's had a bit of a disastrous weekend so far, struggling just a little bit there. I think perhaps he looked like he was going to make a challenge on Matt Palfreyman, but in the end it backed off. Palfreyman though still charging on Mark Williams, and that race isn't over yet as he tries to dive through on the inside as Balfour continues to lead. But Mark Williams, a very, very experienced Formula 4 driver and T850 monohull driver, will use all his experience. Well, I say that, but already Matt Palfreyman looks like he's got through on Mark Williams. So Mark Williams then, remember that boat being rebuilt after a testing accident where in fact the prop shaft came out and the boat went over, causing some damage. So Mark Williams really just feeling his way back into the Formula 2 boat once again. He's the rookie F2 driver for 2014. But no rookie in F2 is Paul Balfour, a previous national championship winner from the past. Once again, proving that that wooden American boat is very much on form and very much capable of winning yet another championship series. As we ride on board with Owen Jelf, that boat was new for him mid-part of 2013. And still getting to grips with it, but at the moment, the boat seems to be working very well. And Matt Palfreyman in number 77 trying to get the most out of that French moorhole as we ride on board with Alan Marshall. He's still pushing. He knows that he wants to at least salvage some credibility really in this weekend's racing. But he did have one or two issues. Remember that Marshall has had some mechanical problems, and also he missed that turn buoy in that second heat. But Marshall having a much better race in heat number 3. Started racing in Formula 2 back in 1994. In fact, has raced in Formula 1 in the past as well, but enjoying the national F2 series back in the UK over the last few years. As we ride on board then with Steve Holt, who is still pushing there, but Steve Holt maybe losing a little bit of performance over the course of the weekend, but that boat still looks pretty rapid though, doesn't it, as we look then from the heli shot. But once again on board with Alan Marshall as Paul Balfour out there in front in the distance. He knows that it's just one more straight then, and he will see the checkered flag, and it's ready for him, and Paul Balfour does win the final heat. So Paul Balfour wins with a maximum of 1,200 points, with Matt Palfreyman second with 976 points, and with 888 points is Steve Holt in third.
Yeah, it made it a lot easier with Colin having his problem with his back and retiring, because Colin was obviously my closest rival, and Yeah, with a decent start, it was quite a bit lonely at the front without Colin there.
Not in the end, but I had a good race, so I enjoyed myself. Lovely day here at Chasewater.
I was catching him towards the start. I had a little mistake, and I thought, do I give up? So I thought, no, carried on. I want to overtake him, but I wasn't close enough.
So the championship is still pretty much wide open. Paul Balfour leads though with 58 points, from Colin Jelf second, 48 points, and Mark Williams third with 41 points.
Well, that's it from Chasewater. Make sure you join us when Powerboat GP returns for the British Sprint Championships.